Hello everyone, welcome to the United Stand. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is to be this weekend. You may be watching this on Saturday. If you are, he has been Manchester United's official manager, not interim, for 1 year. So tonight we're going to be looking at the pros and cons of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I do not think there is any doubt that at this moment in time, everybody is willing to give Solskjaer time to see how this season ends if it does, but certainly a year in, it's very much well worth delving deeper into the stats, how we've played, what players we've brought through well, what players have failed, what Solskjaer's done well and what he's not done well, and break it down and look at it, because that's what we can do, because it's a year of Ole. Hit the music, we've already started. But yes, just a little bit of topical news as well. The Premier League have released another statement tonight saying that there are difficult decisions ahead for football. They've linked up with the EFL and difficult decisions ahead. And I think that there is a real big feeling at United. There's a big feeling. Well, if you didn't watch the video at lunchtime with Loz off the kickoff, what a brilliant show that was. Make sure you do check it out. I mean, we were talking for over an hour about various things, but he's a Liverpool fan. I just feel that we are moving more and more towards the season being voided, and I'm totally against that, but we have to keep an eye on that, because it just seems to me that that's the path that they want to go down. But we'll see on that. Interestingly enough, just on a little bit of transfer news, Koulibaly, again being linked to us by numerous outlets. It just keeps going on and on and on and on with Koulibaly, and I think it's something that maybe we need to start taking note of, because I just don't think we signed Koulibaly, but we are continually being linked to him. So, yeah. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody, and make sure you share the video as well. But let's get into this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 1 year in. We are officially on the 28th of March, which is tomorrow if you're watching live on Friday night, or it's today if it's a Saturday. A year of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, for me, I think the first thing that I would say is that there's no question that when Ole came in as an interim manager, the record was brilliant. He managed for 19 games. He won 14 games and he drew 2. So only lost 3. No other manager took any more points than he did in that 3 months that he was the interim manager here at Manchester United. But the official job was given to him on the 28th of March. And the last year as Manchester United manager, he has taken 53 points from 101. 53 points from 101. Talking about Premier League football, he's taken 53 points from 101 in the year he's been the official Manchester United manager. And I think that's something to consider, because a lot of people want to say, well, you can't just use that. You can't use those stats. You've got to use the fact that he was... What about his role as the interim manager? But I think you do have to draw a line under it, because the interim manager role, there has been loads of interim managers. Look at Duncan Ferguson at Everton. Everton did well. They didn't give him the job. Ole earned the job because he did very, very well. But when you're an interim manager, it's very easy to go in and say, I'm not the bad guy, everybody. Go out there and enjoy yourself. There's no pressure. Go out there and enjoy yourself. And United did go out there and play with freedom. We played with one holding midfielder for 3 months. We went out there and enjoyed ourselves. We won games and we did really well. As soon as he got the job, United we were on course for Champions League football last year. Nothing's going to stop us now. Starship was singing every week. And then as soon as he got the job, we blew it. We absolutely blew it. We finished the season from when Ole got the job. We took 8 points from 24. 8 points from 24 in the last... how many games is that? 8 games? 8 games? Yeah, 8 games, 24 points. He took 8 points. He averaged 1 point a game in his last 8 games, and we didn't get top 4. As soon as he was given the job, the whole go out there, enjoy yourself, one holding midfielder disappeared, didn't it? And for the last year, we've been playing with 2 holding midfielders. And I think that's the first thing I would bring, because there's massive pros with Solskjaer. I mean, look at what we've done over the last month with Bruno, the wins we've had, the results we've had up against the top 6. I mean, this season alone, we've beaten Chelsea home and away. We've beaten Man City home and away. We're the only team from the top 6 to take any points off Liverpool. We've beaten Leicester. We've beaten Spurs. His record against the big teams has been fantastic this season. And what we've done over the last month has been very, very good as well. But we can't also ignore the fact that there are things where we need to improve. And I think when he got the job, that whole go out there, enjoy yourself football disappeared into, oh my God, now I'm going to be judged. And we did go a little bit defensive. We went more 2 holding midfielders. And if you look at that first 3 months when he was in charge, it was 1 holding midfielder and it was more, let's get after teams. So he did change. And I think that's something that I hope that in the months and years to come with Solskjaer, if he is to stay here for a long time, that he does look back. I mean, I would, Solskjaer, the great thing about Manchester United over these next few weeks is that we've got a lot of time to assess as a club where we are. And it's interesting what Lawrence said this morning. He said, I think Solskjaer's a good manager, and maybe he will be a good manager, but if you've got an opportunity to get a better manager, why wouldn't you do that? Sentiment is an odd thing in football, and you don't hold any loyalty to Solskjaer to give him the job if you think there's a better manager out there. And Liverpool effectively did do that with Brendan Rodgers. They were like, yeah, you're doing a good job, but Klopp's available, and look at where they are now. So maybe that is a consideration for the board. I don't know whether they'll take any notice of that. But yeah, I think that the year of Solskjaer effectively has been, as soon as he got the job, he went a little bit more defensive than he did for the 3 months that he got it. And for me, that's always been a regrettable thing, that when I look at the season from day one against Chelsea, I know we beat them 4-0, but you saw Pogba and McTominay sitting in front of the back four and you thought, what's all that about then? And that has been very consistent this season. Pros of Ollie: he bleeds for this club. Cons: shambolic knowledge of football tactics and a lack of adept football coaching. Still a lot to prove, says Sagor Kaput. Well, see, I wouldn't agree with you on that, Sagar. I wouldn't agree with you on that one, because I think that, as I said, beating Manchester City home and away, beating Chelsea home and away this season, they show a certain level of tactical acumen to be able to do that. And there have been some good results this season. And I think that Bruno coming into the team, we always knew that midfield wasn't good enough. Jesse Lingard, Andreas Pereira, even Mata at times at the top level can't do that number 10 role. You bring a number 10 in like Bruno Fernandes who can play in that role, and the team suddenly looks a whole lot better. I'm not saying we're infallible. I still think that we do make mistakes, but we're now able to score goals. And you look at some of the games that we lost this season, some of the really bad results: 0-2 Burnley, 0-1 Newcastle, 0-1 Bournemouth, was it? 0-2 Watford. Like, we're losing those games because we're not scoring goals. And I think at the moment we're looking like we're going to score goals. So that is a massive improvement through Bruno. He beat the top teams, but by being defensive. I can't digest the fact that Brighton had more possession than us at Old Trafford. Not acceptable, says Sagar Kapoor. Look, some of the positives I think with Ollie over the last year, to sort of move through the pros and cons. Brandon Williams. I mean, Mason Greenwood to a certain extent, but I think we all knew that Mason Greenwood was going to be a fantastic player. But Brandon Williams has been a positive. Mason Greenwood's been a positive. I mean, for me, I said it last week, Anthony Martial, that's down to Ollie. How he's turned him from a winger into a very astute striker, that's down to Solskjaer. The development of Fred's been good. I mean, a lot of that's down to Fred, but Ollie has given him the chance to do it and then given him the platform to stay in the team and do that. So I think that's been really good as well. I think his signings have been good. Somewhat obvious in some ways, I suppose, but they've been good. Maguire's been good and come in as captain, which is a big thing to do in your first season. I think Wan-Bissaka's been flawless and will be our player of the year. Bruno, look, an obvious signing that we should have made last summer, but they still went and did it. So you've got to offer encouragement there. Agallo, maybe it was a little bit lucky, but it has worked out well. And Dan James, yeah, I mean, look, negatively, I think Solskjaer's played him too much, but ultimately I think he will be a good player. So there are positives in that area as well. Hi Mark, great to hear that Angel Gomez could sign a contract. For me, the reason for Ollie not playing the youth could be down to our recent runs, as football is, and that is what I want. Thanks for the contribution there, pal. And he only has one tactic: sit back and counter, says Michael2204. Well, I think this is important as well. And Adams and Nicola says, do you think the main reason Ollie didn't get fired after the horrific result against Burnley is because he has never fully lost the dressing room like Mourinho did? I don't think Solskjaer will lose the dressing room at Manchester United, and I think that is potentially quite a positive thing to say. He's such a likeable guy. He doesn't lose press conferences either. I mean, I look at some of the bad results that Mourinho had, and the press were gunning for him in the press conferences. But with Ollie, it doesn't matter if he loses to Burnley. He still walks in with a smile and people want to be nice to him. And that's to his credit. He is a glass half full person, and he's admitted that. And it does make it somewhat hard for people to get on his back at times. So, some of the results we've had this season. I mean, look, let's not forget, this season we've taken, 45 points from 77. We've lost to teams like, some really bad teams. And what I would say as well is, I want to talk about the way he sets the team up, but 45 points we've got with nine games to go if the season gets completed. So we need 45, we need 19 points from 9 games. That's 6 wins. That's 6 wins, isn't it? 6 wins from the last 9. Why am I saying 65 points? Because 65 points is our lowest ever Premier League total. And People don't want to acknowledge this, some people. Welcome to the club, football is, and that's what I want. New member of the club. Thanks for joining, pal. So with Solskjaer's, where we are, David Moyes has the worst Premier League points total in 30 years for Manchester United with 64 points. We're currently on 45. So Ollie needed to win 7 of the last 9 games to not have the worst ever Premier League season. It's just been a weird season. I think up until Bruno came, he's not knocking on not knocking on the sacking door. Yeah. He is knocking on that. And then Bruno comes in, we go and beat Chelsea, we go and beat Man City, amongst other teams, we have a good run of fixtures, and everyone's like, yeah, this could be it again. So it has been a very, very weird season. I think tactically, that's something that over the last year that I have had issue with a lot. When I look back on the year, I think that, I finished the season last year when you're losing to Cardiff and getting pumped by Everton. It was a really odd end to a season. But this season, I think that even with the game against Everton at the start of March, I was like, what's that all about? What was that change in tactic all about, where we're splitting Martial and Greenwood and trying to play Bruno as a false 9? It's like, I think Ollie sometimes tries to be a little bit cleverer than he is, because he is a naive, inexperienced coach, much like McKenna and Carrick are. And I think sometimes they do try to be a little bit too clever. What I want to see from Solskjaer and what I want to see from Manchester United over the next year, if he's going to be here for the next year, is I want to see a definitive Manchester United style of play and a definitive formation and philosophy that allows us to get behind the team. I think when you look at Liverpool and Klopp, and I don't compare us to that, but when Klopp came into Liverpool, it was very, very obvious as he offloaded players and brought players in, the way he wanted to play football and the formation he wanted to play. With Solskjaer, if you ever did any sort of background on Solskjaer, especially his Cardiff days, squad rotation, formation rotation, never the same, hardly ever. And at United, when he first came in, we saw this 4-3-3 with Matic holding and Herrera sort of box-to-box with Pogba. And then this season, we've seen Matic and Fred holding, or Fred and McTominay holding, but definitely 2 holding midfielders. I don't think when you're Manchester United and you're playing teams like Burnley at home, you should be playing 2 holding midfielders. Van Gaal used to get absolute pelters for it. Absolute pelters. But Ollie does it, and it's like, well, that's just the way we're going to set up. I think it's too defensive. I think sometimes the 3 centre-backs is too defensive. And I think Ollie does need to go on the offence a little bit more. If we have got the players that we supposedly think we have in the midfield with Fred and McTominay and Matic, back to his best, why do we play 2 holding midfielders? It's too defensive for me. And I think that against the sides that I think we're perfectly set up. And I think I do agree with what somebody said there, that I think we're perfectly set up at United to go against the better sides and hit them on the break. I think absolutely perfect for that. And we've proven that, whether it be Man City, Chelsea, teams that want to play possession football on the edge of our box, lose the ball, hit them on the break. We've done it. We've shown that we can do that. But what we haven't shown we can do is dominate the possession ourselves and beat teams 3 or 4-0, or go a bit toe to toe with teams like Chelsea. We haven't done that, and I think that's something we're going to have to do, because whatever anybody thinks, our reputation around Europe and certainly around the Premier League is that we are a team that sits back, park the bus, is what banter rivals would say. We park the bus and hit teams on the break. And I've got to be honest, I love it when we win, because that's what you want as a United fan. But as a football fan, I would say, as somebody who's done coaching, who's played football, who's watched football, it doesn't matter, any of those things, I think sitting back and hitting a team on the break is one of the most simplistic tactics there is in football. If you think about it, if you're coaching a football side and they're saying, boss, what are we going to do? Well, basically, let them have the ball, let them do all the work, and when they make a mistake, quickly get it forward to our quick players to score a goal. There's no... you're not getting out your little drill cones, are you, to do quick touch, right, 3 of you in the middle, 3 of you with the ball, try and pass it through them, this, that and the other. It's not. It's a very simplistic way to play football. Very effective for United at times this season. I'm not knocking that, but you don't win a title counter-attacking. You don't. Title winners are teams that go and hurt teams. And now I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, what about Leicester? But Leicester did it in such a shit season, and Leicester City did it with ridiculously poor resources. Manchester United's, Manchester City's, Chelsea's, they're not clubs that should be trying to win a title on counter-attacking football. Leicester did it because Leicester were like Goliath not Goliath. They were David against Goliath. They were the underdogs. They defied logic. Manchester United should not be a team playing like David against the Goliaths of football. We should be trying to be a Goliath ourselves. We should be a side that's trying to be Manchester United. How do you beat Manchester United when they play their way? And I think that's something we definitely need to work on over the next year. Hubert Godowski, thank you and welcome to the United Stand Members Club. And Azariah Isgati says, I love a defensive masterclass. Leicester did it with Kante, says George Kyle. Well, I think that CDM role is still a position that Manchester United do need to work on. And I'm hoping that we will have a look at that in the days and weeks ahead over the summer. Because I think if you could put, you know what I think. I think an Ndidi or a Partey in that midfield could hold it and allow you to have two more attacking midfielders, whether it's Pogba and Bruno or whoever. But I do think that would be the way to go. Atletico Madrid are a counter-attacking side, but they're a boring side. Would I say Manchester United are boring under Solskjaer? What I would say is that, whether it's the Man City wins or the Chelsea wins, they're very satisfying. They're very satisfying. But how many times have we... I call it sustained attack. Or, when a team hits the post, they've nearly scored again. They're all over them. How many times do we say that as United fans? We're all over them. When are we going to score? I mean, yeah, against Brighton and Norwich we've done it. And I think against Watford recently we did it. But we very rarely dominate possession against better sides and create loads of chances. We're a clinical, fast puncher. We're a bit like if we were a boxer, we would be take the pressure, bang, bang, they're down. We're not an aggressor. We're not a suppressor. We're not somebody who just grinds the team down with punches. We take it, bang, counter-attack. And it's good, but if you're watching that boxing, it's a little bit, if you're championing that boxer, Manchester United, it's a little bit frustrating to watch people just throwing punches at you all the time. You defend, and then bang. You don't get what I call football enjoyment that you would under a previous United side, or some teams like Liverpool, Man City, even Chelsea, even Leicester. The teams that play a good brand of football and then entertain you and win games. That's the dream. That's the greed. That's what we want. And I don't make any lies or apologies for that. We want to be entertained and win games of football. At the moment, I think we're winning games of football, but we're not quite as entertaining as we should be. And I tell you what, if you spoke to Solskjaer or you spoke to United players, they would agree. They wouldn't do it publicly, but they know this. They know this because they know better than us what they're doing as a team. And they know that offensively, we don't really do enough. Defensively, we're very, very good. And you're going to be very good when you've got someone like Wan-Bissaka in your team, Harry Maguire, the form that Luke Shaw's in, David De Gea. Tonali and Sancho need signing. I've Chong on my away top, who I want to play with Gomez next season, says Christopher Patrick. I personally think that those two players need to go on loan, but we'll see what happens with that. And Michael Mera says, Floyd Mayweather boxed like that style, and it's the most successful in terms of money of all time. Got absolutely no comparison with football though, has it? But you're right. Fast flowing and counter attacking is like oil and water, they don't mix, says Leslie Lai. And we need to improve ball retention and patterns of play, says Gabriel Medina. And I think what we've seen with Bruno, who has been one of the big positives for Manchester United this season, is that there is a player with football intelligence who can we see it with Mata. It's just a shame that Mata's getting on now. But you see Mata and Bruno and their ability. You could drop Bruno into a Man City side and he could keep the ball for half an hour in that team, as could Juan Mata. But can Manchester United sustain pressure against sides? Technically, I don't think we've got enough football intelligence players. I think it's going to be very interesting when Pogba comes back. And Martial's a footballer. He's got football intelligence. I think Martial, Bruno, Pogba, Mata, they're our best footballers, and we need more footballers. Rashford is a brilliant talent. I think Rashford's potentially a world-class talent. But is Marcus Rashford a football intelligence player, or is he a flair player? Because Rashford, in relation to his final ball, is interchanging, needs to improve on that. Dan James needs to improve on that. I'd say even Fred needs to improve on that to a certain extent. And I don't think Matic and McTominay are them sort of players either. So it's... As a team, we need to be better on the ball. And I think Bruno will make us better on the ball. But yeah, that's something. That's ultimately what I would say over the year. I should have said it at the start. When it comes to Solskjaer, I'm very happy with where United are at the moment. Apart from the fact we're not playing games, I felt we had the momentum to get top 4. I think we would have got top 4 if we hadn't have had this close down. And if we'd got top 4, I would have sat in the summer and said, you've got to give him another season. I'd say in some ways, I'd say he's a little bit lucky. It's such a shit season, but you've got to give him another season because he's got Champions League football. And you know what? This could be the season that makes him. Let's see what happens next year. And then if next year you come back and you're still losing silly games, then he's clearly not the guy. But if he'd got Champions League football, I would have said giving him the job anyway. But I would sit here and say he's still got to do better. I think from being given the job to now to have 53 points from 101, that's not good enough. 53 points from 101 points is not good enough. It isn't. It's half. It's not a good points percentage. His points percentage since Bruno came in at the end of January is superb. We're averaging 2 points a game. But there has to be an improvement with United. And I think the people who are concerned would say, well, look, is Bruno going to keep playing like this forever? Is the team going to keep playing like this forever, or is it another little blip like the first 3 months? We're going to have to find out. We're going to have to find out where we're going. But I still think if you take Bruno out of the team, this team goes back to losing games to Burnley 2-0. But I think with Bruno in the team, and we've not had Pogba this year, and a fit Rashford, we're way better. And what I like about United at the moment with under Solskjaer is we don't look like we're conceding goals. We look defensively solid. And we always look like we're going to score a goal. Which means you're not going to lose games and you're probably going to win games or at least get a draw. So United look a lot better because of the Bruno signing. I'll take Poch over Ollie right now, and I don't think I've seen enough from Ollie to change that. But I'll be arrogant. I'd be arrogant not to admit that he's improved the team for the next gaffer, says Adams Anacola. Thank you very much for that, mate. What do you think of Camavinga from Rennes? If Bellingham deal falls through, United need to look outside of England for young talent, says Jacob Forbes. I really want us to sign Bellingham. I do. I think that's the signing I'd love United to make. I think that he has got that je ne sais quoi. That's to be. I know I say it a lot, but to be 16 years of age and be playing over 30 games in centre midfield for a championship club says a lot about what he's going to be when he's 18. I always say this, I've said it with Greenwood, I've said it with Rashford, if they can avoid major injury in their development years, they're set to be very, very good players. And I really do hope that we get Bellingham. Pogba won't play for United again, season soon be voided, says Stephen Bihari. Well, I just want to ask everybody about that very quickly. I mean, look, in conclusion, about Solskjaer 1 year on, my thing is, out of 10, I would give him probably 6 out of 10, which is, if I'm giving a player 6 out of 10, it's average. It's not terrible. It's not very good. I think 6 out of 10 is right, because we're clouded by the brilliant last month, but the previous 11 months have been dodgy at best. But I'm willing to say 6 out of 10. Let's see where we go from here. Because I tell you what, if Bruno hadn't come in, I think he'd probably be gone. Bruno's given him the lifeline to build something, and we're going to have to wait and see where it goes. But as I said, 55 points from 101 isn't that great, but the last month has been superb. So you've got to go with recent results, and that's just the way it goes, and see where we go from there. In the context of where we are now, tonight, I'm concerned about the world. I am concerned. I'm not surprised. I think I've done Going for Goldbridge, which goes up at 9 o'clock, so I don't want to say much. That's on my channel, Mark Goldbridge, which is more about life than football. But I'm not surprised where we're heading. I think we're heading to a place where we're going to be getting news every day of a lot of fatalities. And I think that's going to quite rightly focus the minds. And I think people are going to, living in a reality, become quite realistic about what this means in relation to isolation. We're only a week into isolation in the UK, and I think some people still think it's a bit of a joke. It's not a joke. The curve's on its way up. How quick we can get that curve down, to me, depends how quick we can get football back. And look, I'm not sat here every night going, oh, get the curve down so we can have football back. I'm saying get the curve down so that our brilliant emergency services can, get a rest, and also so that we can save lives. That's the focus here. But I think these people who say, "Oh, just void it. Life's more important." I think you're being ridiculous. Like, life is football. Life is EastEnders. Life is going to the cinema. Life is going to the restaurant. Life is seeing relatives and friends that we can't see at the moment. So, should we just void everything and live in a hole for a year? Like, if we have to do that, we have to do that. But don't suppress hope. Don't suppress, optimism that we might get back to something that we want. Freedom sooner rather than later. And I would just say in relation to football, let's not be shocked by what we're doing. We are in isolation because we know what's going to happen over the next few weeks. You don't need to void a football season in March. Let's see where we are at the start of May. And if at the start of May, we're like, this is going to be like this for another 3 months, you maybe have the discussion about voiding football. But we don't even know how bad it's going to get, how long it's going to last at the moment. So voiding the football season to me just seems ridiculous. And I think a lot of it's to do with they want to start the next season in August. And I just think with regards to that, if you can put a World Cup at Christmas, you can start a new Premier League season in October. I think it's very important that we get this season done. And you know what? Screw Liverpool. Screw Liverpool for a game of blockbusters. Like, what about us? What about Manchester United? We were going to get Champions League football. If they void the season, we're back in the bloody Europa again. And if City get a ban, Arsenal get into the Champions League because they finished 5th a year ago. What a load of shit. Like, this is ridiculous. And you've got people like Rio Ferdinand saying, well, I think we should void the season. I mean, think about it, Rio. Like, can we not just wait a month and see where we are in a month? Because I get it. I totally get what we're doing here. We're trying to save lives. We all get that. But why are we rushing into decisions and making football voiding of seasons about saving lives? We don't need to talk about the Premier League at the moment. Let's just wait. Let's just wait for a few weeks and see what happens. Let's not void it now, because why can't we start the season back in September, finish it, and then start the new one in October? Why can't we think out of the box like that? And I tell you what, it'd be a bloody joke if they void the season, City get their Champions League ban, and then Arsenal go in the Champions League next year because they finished in 5th a year ago. Absolute ridiculous. So I think a little bit of patience is needed, and just put it on the back burner for the moment. I won't judge Ollie until he has the squad he wants. Fred is better than Kante this season, and I wouldn't worry too much with him at CDM and Matic backups, as Joe and Daniel. I genuinely love Fred. I think he's been brilliant this season, but I don't think Fred is a holding midfielder. And I know he's not a holding midfielder because we've got an interview next week with a player of a Premier League club who played against Manchester United quite recently and basically said our tactic was to press the ball as soon as Fred got the ball because he's not got a great first touch. That's from a Premier League footballer that played Manchester United. And if you think about it, Fred, if he's a box-to-box, his first touch is less important. But if it's the holding midfielder, you can't be getting swamped and losing the ball because they're straight on your back four then. His dependence on a CAM worries me. Pogba during the first 3 months and Bruno recently. Will be interesting to see if anything different when both play, and Fred, who's better than Kante, as CDM, says Joe and Daniel. It will be interesting to see what happens. It will. But look, I wasn't going to be on a long show tonight because I've got a couple of things to do. So I just thought I wanted to do a show because Ollie's been here a year. Something a little bit simple that everyone can get their teeth into. What I'd really like everybody to do is, whether you're watching live or not, if you could just give us a couple of sentences in the comments about what you think about this year in charge, and totally disregard the interim. Like, don't, just for me, ignore the interim manager bit. I know he did a great job, but that's how he got the job. Once he got the job, judge him on when he got the job. Because if you judge him when he got the job in March a year ago to now, that's the best way to do it, because that's when the pressure was on. 3 months of winning loads of games and telling everyone to go out and enjoy themselves because there's no pressure, that got him the job. But when he got the job, have a look at that year and tell me what you think about that year. My uncle knows Matic. We come from the same city. I could get a shirt for a giveaway, says Ready HD. Thanks, pal. If you could, that'd be great. And we need... having all these international sporting events like the Euro Cup and the Olympics moved is great. Gives the clubs and the leagues a chance to be safe and finish the season, says Michael Mera. Look, I just think a little bit of patience. A little bit of patience is what matters. And also, let's not forget, it's not just about the Premier League. It's about the La Liga. It's about Serie A. It's about the Bundesliga. There are other leagues out there. I just think it'd be very sad if we look. 100%, we've got to get through this. 100%. But if we get through it by October, I still think we should finish the season in October. That's my stance. I just think whenever it is, we should come back and finish this season. And I don't get why we can't, because a new season's 9 months long. We only need 3 weeks to finish this season. 9 games, you can get it done in 3 or 4 weeks. So why can't we just come back and finish this season whenever it is? It doesn't make any sense to me why we need to avoid it, because the next season's 9 months long. That's massive. This is small. Let's come back and do it. Thanks everyone for watching. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and we've got a cracking video going up for you tomorrow. Just watch out. I think you'll like it. Smile on your face time. Speak to you all soon.